Hello, this is part 2 of just modding. So I made the last modding video where I kind of rambled for a while about modding for Heroes of Hamwatch, and then I thought I would just do this quick video. It probably won't be quick. I'll do this video just going over some of the things for Hamwatch 2 and kind of how to get started and things to know. So this is the custom scenario that I uploaded to the workshop, like an example scenario, which you can subscribe to and download, and it's just got an example of like an NPC who has a quest, and they will give you the quest, and it's this person who will happily open the bridge for you. You can wander over here and speak to Matt, and he will give you some food, or he gives you some money, and in theory you can then take this food and cook it up and give it back to the NPC here to complete the quest, but it doesn't work because number one, I forgot to give you a pan, and number two, this cook site doesn't seem to be working for some reason. So we can figure that out now, why that's not working. But yeah, so that's let's see how this goes. So let's quit out of the game for now. Okay, so I've started off by unpacking my assets. In my Hamwatch 2 folder there is the packager. If you open this up, if you click this little box icon up here, it will unpack the assets. You will get this error at the end. Don't worry about it, it happens, it's just an error, it doesn't actually mean anything. Unpacking the assets will take a little bit of time, there's a lot of stuff in here. This has got all the stuff from the base game in it, so you can see like bosses, you can see, where is he? Commodore Sinkage, Matt's in here, like all of his things and kind of everything to do with the game. Levels does not contain levels, they are in the scenarios themselves, so Hamwatch 2 scenario. So to get those ones, we're going to come back to the editor. We can go to the Hamwatch 2 scenario under official, right click it, unpack scenario. You see all the levels unpacking here, which is what we want, and then it'll open it up for us. So there we have it, that's cool. I'm just going to close that window because I don't need it anymore. Scenarios, Hamwatch 2, info there. The differences between a scenario and a mod, so I have my mods folder here with other things, and I also have my scenarios folder with some things. Scenarios are like custom, like standalone game modes you can load into. They can have their own levels, their own things going on, and like they're sort of self-contained, whereas mods, like resource mods, like Heroes of Hamwatch style ones, affect the base game, like they get applied to scenarios. So you can either make a custom scenario, or you can make a mod, or you can make a mod that does custom scenario stuff. It's quite interchangeable, but it's just a slight. If you want to affect the base game, you probably want a mod. If you want to make your own thing entirely, you probably want a scenario. So we're going to make our own scenario. So in the scenarios folder, I already have this example folder, which is empty. We are going to want to get this set up so that it will load things. So what do we need? First of all, we're going to grab this logos file. So this is one that I use for everything. I don't actually know if you need a logo file or not. Maybe you don't, but I always add one. It's just from Serious Sam, I think. This is the image that will come up when you select the scenario. That will be there. We'll see it in a second. And we are also going to make a new text file. It's going to be info.xml. It is not a text file, it's going to be an XML file. We're going to open that one up, just bring it over here, and this is going to contain info about the scenario itself. So the format of this looks like this. It looks disgusting because of my formatting. Let's do that so it's nicer. So you have this info block, so info and info. You have the name of the scenario, so we're going to call this YouTube tag. I forget what this does, it's not super important. I've always just left it as HW2 tag. Description, scenario for video. You can set the minimum amount of players and the maximum amount of players. So in my scenario mod where I changed the amount of players, I just set this at 400 and then included all the base assets. That's what I did. This is where you can define the start level that you want. So when your scenario loads, this is going to be the first location that we load into. So we'll call this example, and we're going to load into levels start.level. This doesn't exist yet, there's nothing else in this folder, but that's going to be what we call it. Okay, so now we have this info file, we have our logos file. Let's make a level so that we can actually see stuff. So we'll go new folder. This is going to be called levels, because it's going to match here, levels. And then you can, I'll go over it in a second, you can either start from scratch here, or you can copy an existing thing. I like to copy existing things because I'm really lazy and level design isn't something I'm strong at. But we will open the editor. And then, so this is the editor. My other video goes over the basics of the editor a lot better than I'm going to here. Like if you want to make your own custom everything, very basically, change game mode to, like, I usually use test level because I'm quite basic. That'll set the game mode for you. You can set a tile map down, start placing doodads, world scripts, all that sort of stuff. World scripts we will touch on in a second. But instead of that, I'm going to go to my Hammerwatch 2 folder. We're going to go to scenarios. We're going to go to the Hammerwatch 2 one. So these are the levels that we just unpacked a second ago with the editor. We are going to go to Hammer Island. We are going to want boss sinkage, because that is the matte sinkage boss level, which is nice and like self-contained and looks pretty. I think it's just a nice starting point. This will load up like this. You'll have the map is laid out. You've got all of this world scripting going on, which we don't care about in the slightest. So what we're going to do is get rid of that. So if I have global sampling off, that's that little eyedropper there, or the G, doesn't work for me, the G key, but that one up there, that's global sampling. And we're on the world scripting tab. That means that we will select only world scripts when we select stuff. So you can see here, that's only selecting scripts. If I had global sampling on, it selects everything, and it's just a, you see, it's just a nightmare. This is your history. You can just go back to loaded level there. So we'll turn off global sampling. We're only on world scripts. We're just going to select everything and delete it because we don't want any of that. So this is our basic level. We're now going to save this. So save as. We're going to come back to our Hammerwatch 2 scenarios folder. We're going to go into example, levels, and then I called it start, I think. Start.level. So yeah, we're just going to call this start.level. It'll take a second, and then you should see the, yeah, it's up here now. We're in Hammerwatch 2 scenarios example level start.level. We're going to want to set a spawn point on here so that where our character spawns in. Otherwise, I think it picks the origin, which is 0, 0, which would, you can see it down here. I'm just trying to see roughly where it is. It's going to be, it'll be like about in the middle of the level. But so that would be fine. Sometimes it isn't fine, sometimes it is. But we're going to use the level start world script, and we're just going to put it just down there. This is where you will start on the level start. So now we'll save that. And if we open up the game, single player, new, change scenario, we should now see YouTube. This is the image we made, scenario for video, so you can see these are the details we said earlier. Pick scenario, play, and I'll load into this, and it should load us onto this map in the background. In the right place. So yeah, that's all cool. That's working properly. This is exactly what we want. So now we want to add some stuff to this map. So let's close. Yeah, we can close this for now. I haven't got a set plan for this. I might make mistakes. If I do, it'll be a great example of debugging, so that's cool. So we want to I mean, we could just get an existing NPC. So if we go over to the Actors tab, we can get an existing NPC, like NPC, I don't know, Gemma. We could have Gemma there, and we could just use Gemma. But I think it's a bit nicer, and what I did in my one is to just make my own custom NPC. So we're going to come back over to our folder here. I'm going to start doing everything in Sublime. You don't have to use Sublime, you can use whatever. I just use Sublime because I find it easier to keep track of everything. And I've got my notes over on the other monitor here, just so I can remember exactly what I did. So an example, we've got our levels folder, and we are going to, what I usually do is, if we look at the unpacked assets, you can see it's got this kind of actors, doodads. So doodads are things in levels like the objects in levels that you might see. So like lighting, like a candlestick, like a mat on the floor, like rocks, wall things, they're all doodads. Effects, GUI, Hammerpedia, you got all these folders, and I like to just try and mirror this when I'm making things, as I find it a lot easier to keep track of stuff. So we've got actors, NPCs, we're going to copy that. So we're going to have, in our example folder, we're going to have a new folder. I'm going to call it actors, and then in there we're going to have a new folder called NPCs. And now we have that. So in here, if we look at our original, what do you call this, the assets folder, you can see we have, this is hard to read, details, that's why, that's a lot better. Quest, so we can see in here we have these units, so this is like npc April.unit, and if we have a little look at that one, maybe if I set this to 2 columns, we'll put April over here, you can see, we don't care about that anymore, all of this information here. So NPCs and like all the people like that, there's kind of an original like template that's defined for them, and then the way this works is this is replacing elements in that template. So you can see here we want to replace NPC name in the template with April. We want to replace the idle sound with April's idle sound. We want to replace the collision sound with April's collision sound. This is used to colorize April. You have custom state. So this would be added. This def block is all kind of part of the templating. So to the April NPC, all of this would be added. So you've got schedule movement. You can see April's schedule here. This is time, I think. So 0. April is upstairs at 9. She goes to Mascon. At 8 o'clock in the evening, she goes upstairs again. Dialogue, all this sort of stuff. It doesn't need to be this complex. I don't make mine that complex. We instead are going to have a, so I'm going to make a new file. I'm going to call it NPC. I'm not going to call it that. What am I going to call it? What's going on? Oh, it's because I need to save it. Okay, right, I see. So we're going to have NPC Kelly dot unit, because I like making units with my name. So in here we are going to want to copy this, so we've got include NPC sounds because we want it to have sounds. We want to so the slot, actor and NetSync position, this is used to say it's an actor in the game, and to NetSync, so sync between people in multiplayer, we want to sync the position. We are going to want to replace the NPC name. We don't care about April, we care about Kelly. We are not going to bother colorizing because I'm going to use an existing unit. I'm going to use something that already exists, a cult member, to be this NPC. We are going to have we want this dialogue block, but we're going to have it instead very slightly different. So it's going to look a little bit like this, but it's going to be this def block dialogue block like that. And so we see here we've got this is more complex than it needed to be. I copied a terrible example, but our dialogue at between 6 in the morning and 11 o'clock at night is temp k dialogue.sval npc Kelly. That'll make more sense a little bit later on, but that's just going to be where our dialogue comes from. So that's just tying this unit to this bit of the dialog folder, which we haven't done yet. We are going to add, just so that this matches, a devlog schedule. No schedule, we don't care about schedule. This is the next part I have in here. So we are going to, so this replace texture idle and texture move. This is where NPCs kind of get their look from. A lot of them, not all of them, it varies a little bit. But we are copying this here, so but instead of replace texture idle with woman 6.idle, we want cult woman idle. And then we're going to have, instead of woman 6.move, we obviously want cult woman.move. These correspond, I think, yeah, with these things here. So you've got cult man.move, cult woman attack, cult woman idle. What did April had? Woman 6 move. So she's probably woman 6.move, woman 6.idle. This is kind of where all this pulls this from, and it'll automatically work out all the sprites for you, which is quite nice. It's useful. We want to say, so this line down here, include actors, NPCs, NPC base 2. We're going to copy that. If we have a look at what that file is, actors, NPCs, NPC base 2 is whatever this is. So this just has a load of basic info about the NPCs. So it's just how much HP they have, aggro range, must see, like it's just a lot of like basic information about them. And this is just so that we include all of that, and this is where, oh yeah, you can see here, so this is their scenes, idle, and it replaces this value in their idle scenes with the texture idle value. So it says, get this frame from this file and use that for this frame of the idle animation, which is just somehow the way it's all linked together. So we want to include all of this stuff because that's got the stuff we care about. And then we're just going to finish this off by closing our unit tag. So now we have npc-cali.unit, which is cool. You can just give that a save. It's here, it's under our NPCs. If I come back to the editor and I hit Control and R, it'll have a think about it for a second, because that tells it to reload all of the assets. Once it's done that, if we'll have a look over here, yeah, so this is the one we've just added. So this is already in the game. Terrible, they're both there. It's an awful example, but I'm sticking to my guns. This is the one we just created. So this is actors, NPCs, NPC Cali. It's in our scenarios folder. You can't immediately tell that, but that's what it is. And if I, so with this selected, if I right click, I've now placed that NPC. We can have a little look at that in game and just check that that's there. And it might error at us because it hasn't got any dialogue yet, but it probably won't. But if we just load into our YouTube scenario, and there we go. There is the not very responsive Kelly NPC. Yeah, there's no language there. There's no way to interact. It doesn't do anything yet. There's not an error I can obviously see. It just exists. It's a thing we've managed to place that does nothing. But we want it to do stuff. So let's close the game, and we're going to come back to the, not that one, that one. We're going to get rid of April. We don't care about April just yet. We are going to see about making Kelly have a quest. So in the base game assets, all of the quests and stuff, it's all in this tweak folder. You can see it in here. You've got this quests, you've got this .mas folder, you've got all of these like inc files, like include files. All of this gets put together. Like if you just have a look at one of these files, it's colossal, it's very dense, it's hard to understand. But once you kind of get the hang of how to look at it, you can pick through this for examples and kind of see how things roughly go together. And that's sort of what we're going to be doing. So we are, actually let's keep that open on that side. And we are going to make our own. So we've got actors, we've got levels, we want a tweak folder. Tweak folder. And in there we are going to have a quests folder. Oops. We've got our quest folder. In there, so we've got this quest.inc in the main game folder. We are going to make our own new file. We're going to save it. We're going to have it as k quests. I use k as a prefix for things, for Kelly. kquest.inc. So now we have our own inc folder, which is great. We're happy about that. So we want to, if we have a look here, you can see that what's an example here? So this is for NPC Allison. You can see that this create dialog function is called, and this says create a dialog for NPC Allison, and this is a string here. So this is .npc.allison.name. So this we use in the language file, which we haven't got to yet. The string that corresponds to NPC Allison name, I assume it's Allison. It's going to create a dialog box for that. And it's going to have an icon, and it's going to use this text for it, NPC Allison short. We are going to have create a dialog for NPC Kelly. So in NPC Kelly we have NPC Kelly.unit. NPC Kelly is what we're creating a thing for, and it's going to be .npc.kelly.name. What's that going to be? We need to tell the game what that is. So at the same time we are going to make a language file. These are in the main game folder. You can see res for resources. You can see language. All of the languages there. If we open English, if I was to open probably dialogue, and let's just see if we can see this for an example. Is it in here? It is. So string name NPC Allison short. I'm telling you again, don't walk outside at night. You don't want to become a victim of the Walking Dead like my son. So that's how those things link together. But we don't care about any of this. We're going to make our own dialog file. And obviously we can't include it in the res file. So we can include it in the base folder for our example. So in this, as it corresponds here, the example folder, we've got actors level tweak. We are going to make a language file. So I'm just going to do that straight over here. I'm going to call it kelly.lang. Get rid of the txt extension. That's all fine. Now we have kelly.lang. Let's pop that over that side. And we are going to want to make our own strings. So we're going to open this up with a lang tag. And it's always going to end with closing that language tag. And then we're going to put things in the middle. So we are going to want to have all of these start with string name, and then you put, so the preceding dot here, you don't include it here. So this is NPC Kelly name. You've got NPC Kelly name without the dot here. And then you don't need to worry about quote marks. You can just do Kelly. Then we're going to close that string off, and then we're done. So now let's save that. So this will find this string in this language file. So we have actors, so we have the actors NPC Kelly.unit, which is here. We have tweak quests, kquest. This is going to be all of my quests, and we're starting off by creating a dialog box for Kelly, and this is the name, which also links into kelly.lang, which is here, and it's going to have NPC Kelly name. 3 files all fit together. What are we going to do next? We are going to... What are we going to do next? We're going to make a quest prompt. So, like in our quests inc thing, we can see... Probably. Add quest prompt. We're going to use one of those. So this is a quest prompt for quest collect for Wolf Grey. We are going to have add quest prompt quest sandwich, because we want to make Kelly a sandwich. We want somebody to make us a sandwich. So that's the name of the quest. This doesn't have to link to anything in the language file. This is just like an internal ID the game can use to keep track of your quest. But it's going to be a quest prompt for quest sandwich. And we want to set text for what that's going to be. So we've got set text, and we're going to use .npc .kelly.quest.intro, because we are going to do the intro to the quest. You can directly input text here, so I could put hello. This would show in game. This way of splitting it up into the language file and the quest include prompt is just a little bit neater, I find, and it's just a bit easier to keep track of everything. You don't have to, you can just put the strings directly in here. So we're going to do what we had an npc Kelly quest.prompt. No, it was quest intro, wasn't it? So this is going to be the intro text to our quest. And then we want the active text. So when this quest is active, we want what is going to be displayed if we interact with our NPC. And we're going to have NPC Kelly quest active. Why is that? Oh, it's because I haven't got need one of them at the end of all of these. A semicolon. So now we've got our sect active text. So add quest prompt, we've got that. We don't care about a conditional yet. This is like a thing to say, hey, don't do this unless this is here. So you can see add conditional flag is Switchtown arrived. So this shouldn't happen unless somebody has arrived at Switchtown. We don't care about that just now. Set text, set active text, set finish text. So we're going to have set, make sure I got my capitals right, set finish text. We're going to have npc Kelly quest finish. Let's go with complete instead, because easy is complete and it's a little bit easier to just stay with what everything else is using. Okay, so we have a quest prompt, set text, active text, finish text. Let's save that. Let's get rid of that. Let's save that. We're going to come back over here and we are going to add some strings. I'm just going to copy these over real quick. So we want Kelly quest intro, active and complete. That was right, wasn't it? So let's have these. So here we go. You can see we've got Kelly quest intro. I can't sell anything until I've eaten. Can you bring me some food? Start of the quest. When the quest is active, still waiting on that sandwich. And when the quest is complete, nom 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 nom, looks delicious. That is great. If we could probably load into game now, I think we'd get an error because we've created this quest prompt, but we haven't actually created the quest, so it would probably complain at us. So before we try that, we are going to create that quest. For that we do, is that in this file? Create quest. Yeah, they're here. Create quest. So this was quest prompt for quest collect fur wolf grey, and underneath you can see we're actually creating the quest itself. Start flag, mission collection items. So this is create the quest. The flag that gets set once you've started the quest, so that other things can check whether a quest is active. What you need to collect for the quest. A reward flag. So this removes that flag. So it sets this flag when you start it. On reward, so when you finish and hand it in, it removes this flag and gives you a piece of equipment, adds reward equipment, and gives you 1 medium reward experience. I'm not entirely sure what that corresponds to. It's probably a variable like within some bounds. But we are going to create a quest. We are going to have quest sandwich, which we already set above. Quest sandwich is up here. Now we want to give it a name, so quest dot sandwich dot name. That's not how you spell witch, is it? There's no H there. Quest sandwich dot name, and we also want to give it some details, so dot quest dot sandwich dot details. Although this says detail, I think, so I'm just gonna detail I've written details, let's not confuse things. So create quest, we are going to set objective description. This isn't on here. This is when you have the like the journal opening game, it's going to give you a description of the objectives. So it's just a little bit easier to see. We do that with set objective description. And we're going to use quest, sandwich, objective. Then we're going to add mission collect item. We are going to say, so add mission collection item, we want to collect one meal sandwich. We want one of them, and true. I can't remember what the true means. True, false, true, false. I'm going to leave it there. I'm not going to care too much about what it means. And then we are going to add a reward flag that says, hey, quest sandwich complete true. So this is the flag that gets set when it's up. Have I missed anything here? No. So when the mission's complete, we get this reward flag. Quest sandwich complete. That flag gets set. Let's save that. Let's come back over to our language file and add a couple of language things. So we are going to add whatever we had. Quest sandwich.name, detail, and objective. I've got them prepared here. So sandwich name delete. So the quest name is Kelly is hungry. The detail is I can't sell anything until I've eaten. Can you bring me something? And the objective is fetch Kelly something to eat. We'll save that. And now let's try loading into the game and see what happens. I think we'll probably get an error, but let's find out. This one, scenario play, start. Here we are, and nothing has happened. I know exactly why nothing has happened, but I forgot. So this is here. Nothing's happening. Why is nothing happening? It's because we haven't told the game that this inc file exists. It's not doing anything with it. So for that we need a .mas file. Let's come over here. Let's find an example of it in the game files. So in the unpacked assets, tweak, quests, you can see it here, this world, it would be .mas file, world.mas. If we just have a look at what it is, it says include quest generation helper, include experience levels, and then if you have a look down, there's a lot of stuff going on. This is really useful because this has got all of the like the quest things you can have, so like create quest, add quest flag, all of these I believe are listed here. So this is a really good reference for things that I forgot existed until I just opened this up again. But that's really useful. And then we've got this void execute function which just says, hey, include all of these things here and use them to generate these files. We don't have one of those, so it's not including our files at all. It's doing nothing with them. That's just me forgetting things. We're going to come to example, we're going to go to tweak, we're going to put it in quests, I think, yeah, and we're going to make our own text file, okay, world.mas. Remove that text bit off the end. Yes, I'm sure I want to change it. Drag that over here. What do we want this to say? Pretty much like what the one in the main file does, but it can be a lot smaller. So ours is going to say include scripts quest generation helper, because that does all the generating. We've got this execute function, and we're going to say include tweak quests k.quest.inc. That's there. We're going to say include that, and it's going to generate these files as kquests.sval and kdialog.sval. So we'll save that. Because this, you'll notice that we haven't created kdialog.sval. This isn't a file I've mentioned, this isn't a file that comes up, this is automatically generated by the game, and that's where these are paired up with these, and it all kind of gets put together. But we'll see that now. These generated files, this like temp kquest.sval and kdialog.sval, or if you look at the one in the game files, Tweak quests world. The ones that the game generates. All of these quest world.sval, dialog world.sval, they're not like static files that exist, but if you put in your config file, so hw2.exe.config, there is a line somewhere. Yeah, this one, this res underscore dump underscore generated 1. This will dump all of these generated files out to a temp folder, which makes debugging things a lot easier because you can actually see the generated files and what's being made. I have that enabled, so you can see I have this temp folder here which gets generated each time, and in my log it says writing pre-processed assets and things like that. Now we've added this kworld.mass, let's try opening the game again and seeing what happens. I'm going to load into our scenario. Cool. Do we have any obvious errors? No, that's nice. Okay, let's load in. Nothing's happening. Why is nothing happening? I was vaguely expecting something to happen, but that's fine. We can carry on while I briefly get confused. It might be because the quest item doesn't exist. Maybe. I'll check. But what I wanted to go over was in the temp folder in, I think I said to output it to temp as well. So yeah, now you can see this k.dialog, kquests.sval have been created, and if we have a look at them, there is nothing in there. Interesting. And in kquests, there's nothing in there either. Interesting. So that's probably why it's not working. Why has that not worked? Include tweak quests, kquests. Oh, it's because quests versus quest. So let's rename that to quests and save that. And then kdialog. Yeah, so quests versus quest. Make sure, I mean obviously you won't be copying and pasting things like I am, so that should be fine. That's just me making a silly mistake. These things happen. You get a lot of like script errors as you go, and it's just kind of knowing where to look for things. So for example, I could tell that looking at these they were empty, so nothing was being generated at all, so it had to be a problem with my mass file, which meant that's where I was looking for things. And now, yeah, there we go. This is all generated. You can see I've got a quest icon above my head, a quest thing, quest icon, yeah. And if we interact, I can't sell anything until I've eaten. Can you bring some food? You get this quest icon. You can say yes, accept it, or get the details. This is all the stuff we said earlier, so you can see this corresponds with the quest, the name, Callie is hungry, the details, and the objectives, fetch something to eat. You can see that there. If we accept it, we get a big old problem because that item doesn't exist. We haven't made it yet. It doesn't exist in the game. That's fine. That'll be why that's failing. But we can fix that now. So we've got to start. You can see it appears in our quest log. No, it doesn't because I've created script errors. It would appear in our quest log, but we're going to fix all of this now. So let's just quit out of the game. Let's make our custom. Let's make our sandwich. No. Yes. No. We'll come to that in a bit. But let's say instead of meal sandwich we wanted something that does exist, like apple. I think apple exists. I don't think it's like fruit apple, though I should probably check. So if that was something that does exist, does this now work happily? Yep, no errors that time. You can see it nothing. We want an apple. So it was complaining before because sandwich doesn't exist in the game. We haven't made it yet. We're going to make it. You can see this here. And if I had an apple, so give item apple 10. Quest is now solved, and I can return it. Looks delicious. It's all finished. Hooray! So let's undo that. So we have our sandwich back in place. Let's make a... Yeah, we'll make the sandwich now, I think. But it won't be... It'll be kind of used in a little bit. Everything will come together. So we are going to make an items folder in here. So we've got items. This is the ones in the game. You can see like consumables, fish, food, potions, upgrade. All of the basic stuff exists in here. So we're going to make our own one. So example, new folder, items. And we are going to have, to match the one in the game folder, we're going to make a folder called consumables. And then in here, we're going to items, consumables, food.unit. We're going to make our own food.unit. So new file, we're going to save it. It's going to be k food.unit. Hooray! If we have a little look at this food.unit, the one in the game, you can see we need all this setup. So unit slot item, get that up there. Behavior class pickup, global, secure, all of this sort of information here. And then you can see all of the individual things are outlined here. So it's got the scene name, pancakes, sizzling essence, tea, wine, honey, all of these things here. We're going to make our own one. It's going to be a lot more basic, but we want that because these are kind of the basic elements of it. It's going to be an item, it's going to be a pickup, it's going to have these. We are going to, you can essentially copy one of these. So it's going to have scenes. No, sorry. We want this scenes tag up here. So behavior, scenes, and then in our scenes we're going to have a scene name which is going to be meal sandwich. The sound I'm going to copy over from what I have here. This is where you can set the sound for your food. So we don't want item default, we want item wet food. Sprite origin. So if we look at the base.png, oh, it's all the way over here. These are all the kind of things in the game already, and if you look over here you can see origin 8.8, frame 48, 32, 16, 16. So measuring from the top, I think I might get my coordinates the wrong way around on this, but I believe it's like for this one 64, 32 would be 64 pixels across, 32 pixels down, and then it would be a 16 by 16 frame, so something about here. That I could have that the wrong way around. If I do, sorry. But we are going to copy what I prepared earlier because I know it works. Interesting. Okay. Base.png, items, item, mats, item. This is the frame I want, blah, 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 blah. Then we just want to close off that scenes tag and that unit tag, just like that. So now we have made a sandwich, and I imagine if I load into the game, it'll probably complain less at me now. Let's find out. I've kind of got all my files open on the other screen and I'm trying to work out the best way to go through everything. But I think this is right. No, this might still complain at me. If so, I think I know why. Yeah, still complaining about it. Because I have made the food unit, but I haven't actually made the like the item itself. So this is the unit, and we're going to reference this in our item file. So let's put this food unit over here. I've done this the wrong way around, but forgive me. So in Tweak, we've got our quest folder. We are also going to have an items folder. New folder, items. And you can see in the game files, Tweak, items. Items are all here. Items food. Items food. This is the sort of thing we have to make, which I forgot. But these all use a unit. So you can see here this is using simple item, load multiple. This is an apple. It's got an ID of apple, name, description, stackable price, blah blah blah, category, blah blah, graphic, and it's using this vegetables unit apple.red. So that's why we made our food meal sandwich unit, so that we could reference a unit when we're making the item itself. Simples. So in items, we are going to make a file. We're going to save it. We're going to call it k items. Oops. Items consumable meals, and I believe this is an sval file. Give me 1 second. Yep. So now we have this consumable meals sval file. This is going to look like consumable meals, because it's a consumable meals. It's going to look something like this. If I put this over here, you can see, we don't need this bit up here, you can see the similarities. So we've got loader order, items, simple item, load multiple. This is used to detect which files load items into the game. So if you put this kind of loader at the top, it will pick up everything, load it into the game. It's great. And we have an array of things in there. This is a dictionary which has our meal sandwich in it. It's a meal sandwich ID. Its name, so we've referenced a string here, so we're going to have to put that into our language file. We can do that in a second. Stackable 10, price 200. I forget what I copied to do this. It's a consumable, it's uncommon. Its graphic is this kfood.unit meal sandwich. So this is this in the unit. So kfood.unit, meal sandwich, texture base. This is kind of where all of that gets put together. Close that off now. Its icon is going to be items, consumables, int 100. Forget what that is. And this is the same kind of referencing as before, so the coordinates where on it is. And cooldown 200 is the cooldown on the food, like between the time you can take it. So we'll save that. And now if we load into the game, so quick recap, we now have, while that's loading, in our scenarios folder, examples, we have actors, NPCs with our NPC Kelly unit. We have items, consumables with our kfood.unit. We have levels, which has our start level. Tweak, which has items, consumable meals.sval. And quests, which has kquest.inc and kworld.mass, which this thinks is a Microsoft Access stored procedure shortcut, as well as our kelly.lang. I haven't put these into our lang file, have I? Let's do that, otherwise it'll complain at me. So the strings we need are just name, description. Am I missing something? I have 3 for it here. Where's this other one used? So we have item meal sandwich name, a hearty sandwich. Item meal sandwich description, hastily made but tasty looking nonetheless. And I also have item consumable sandwich.name. Was that one I used in my food? No? We'll find out where that gets used, because it'll probably come up when I work my way through the other files. I think it's probably in the crafting. But let's not worry about it too much. Save our lang file. Load in. Play. Come up here, accept. No more errors because our sandwich exists. If we look at our quests, a hearty sandwich, it's got a picture. This is our item. We can see hastily made but tasty looking nonetheless. Hearty sandwich, tastily made but tasty looking nonetheless. All that now exists. Hooray! How long have I been going for? Almost an hour. Okay. Let's keep going. Why not? So now we've got the basics of that in place. Let's close off some of these files to stop getting so confused. We are going to want to make a way to get a tasty sandwich. So we're going to add another NPC. Now in the base, in the example one, so we'll come up to our NPCs folder, we're going to make a new file, and we're going to have, let's save that. So to match the original, we have Matt the Sinkage the Friendly, I think. So we're going to have npc mat.unit to go alongside kelly.unit. And in npc mat.unit, I'm going to grab all of this block here and bring it over here. This is stuff I copied from something else, so feel free to copy it from me. So we have define static. We are including our NPC sounds, as we've seen over here. We've got slot actor net sync position, as we've got over here. Replace NPC name Matt. We have got our colorized block with nothing in it because I forgot to take it out, I guess. We can see our def block dialog with our NPC Matt dialog, which we're going to add in a second. We can see our schedule is also empty, there's nothing there. Icon offset. This is used because we're using Matt Sinkage's his pictures. He's bigger than other things, so this is used to offset the dialogue and the icons so they're the correct position above his head. And this is replacing his shadow, so it uses the right shadow. We are replacing the NPC texture idle with actors, bosses, Commodore Sinkage idle. We are this section here is replacing the if you remember, I showed you the units file and it had all those idle scenes in it. This is going through that and correcting the origin positions. So instead of 1624 we want to use 3052 because it's a bigger file, and instead of this first scene being at 0032 by 32, it's going to be 0064 by 64. So this is taking this first value and swapping it out for this one, and likewise all the way through, just to make sure that all the values are correct for this sheet here. We've got replace texture move with walk, and include actors, NPCs base 2.inc, because we include that in everything, and we close off that unit file again at the bottom with /unit. So we'll save that. We have made a new NPC, so we are going to make a new additions to our language file to accommodate for that. Where's Matt? So we are going to have NPC name Matt, and we are going to call him Sinkage the Friendly. Here he is. So this is Matt, NPC Matt. He's going to be NPC Matt, like Matt Sinkage the Friendly. But of course this doesn't work because we need to make a quest for him so that he has something to do. So we're going to come down to our quest folder. We're going to look at K quests. Now we want to add some things for Matt Sinkage. So let me have a look at my previous quest folder and find Matt Sinkage. Here he is, he's down here. we are going to create a dialog, as we did for Kelly. So it's a dialog for npc mat.npc.mat.name, npc mat.name, lovely. We are going to, I'm just going to copy this section over here and talk through it. So we're going to add a query prompt. We're going to set the icon quest return, that's the little yellow exclamation mark because it looks more interesting to look at. We're going to set text as the npc mat choice. So this is going to be a text box with like a positive and a negative, and you're going to have the choice of two things to do. If you accept, it's going to be the positive words, and you get given these reward items. So this choice text box, if you accept, you get this string and it rewards you bread, sausage and egg, one of each. And if you decline, you get this decline text, npc mat negative, and he's going to give you some gold. Add reward gold, 5,000. So we have a couple new strings here that we've added, mat choice, mat positive, mat negative. We are just going to add those in. Oop, just like this. So we have mat choice. Hello, lovely to meet you. Would you like some ingredients? If you say no, I'll give you some gold anyway. Or if you say no, I'll give you gold. Yep. Positive, eat and enjoy. Negative, gold coming up. So now we've got that. So we have our mat NPC has been added. If we refresh the files here, Control R. Give that a second to reload everything, and we should see NPC mat. Yes, it's this top one. That bottom one is in the quest folder, which is in ours. So if I place this, here he is, Mat Sinkage the Friendly. We're just going to put in there. In my example mod, he's over here, and I have another NPC here who will open and lower a drawbridge here. I'm not going to include that one because it'll take ages, and it's just another example of how things are done, but to trigger a global event. But that's a nice, just another example to look at once you've got the basics and kind of a bit of a grasp of the basics. So we've got Mat there, we've saved our file. Let's go and meet Mat. And then last of all, we'll add the crafting recipe, see if I can make it so it works. Actually, maybe I'll get him to give us a saucepan as well, because otherwise... So add reward item. Is it tool pan? Or have I made that up? I'm gonna have to look at a list, aren't I? Let's see if that works. YouTube, pick scenario, play, start. We've loaded in. No obvious errors. That's nice. Let's get our hungry quest. Hello, Mat. You want to talk to us? I think it's friendly. Hello, lovely to meet you. Would you like some ingredients? If you say no, I'll give you some gold. Say no. Gives us 5,000 gold as we asked. If we say yes, he gives us an egg, a sausage, and a frying pan, and some bread. So he's given us all the things we need to make a sandwich, including the thing to cook it with. But Kelly wants that sandwich, and we haven't got a way to cook it. So we are going to real quickly add a recipe to the game, so we can turn these into a sandwich. So what do we need to do that? We are going to we've got that, we've got that, we've got that, we've got that, we've got that. So we are going to make, in our tweak folder, a crafting folder. If you look over in the base game files, again, matches, crafting, you've got blueprints, meals. If you look in here, this is the sort of thing we're going to be copying. So in our crafting folder, we are going to make a file, as we normally do. New file. It's going to be K. What do I call it? K blueprints meals.sval. And we are going to open that file, so that one's there. So our blueprint meals is going to be another one like this. So we want this first line, load order, -1, item simple load order, load. We're going to make an array to match here. We're going to have a, well, we can just copy this over. Then at the bottom we're going to close this array. And now we can change this. So we are going to want to have a blueprint for a meal, and it's going to be a sandwich. Our name is going to be item consumable sandwich none, sandwich.name, which is already here. So item consumable sandwich name, that's where that gets used. It's not going to have a description because it doesn't need one. Its price is 0, that's fine. Its quality, it can be whatever you want. Common is fine. I'm going to make it uncommon just so it matches my previous examples. Icon, items, consumables, you can set this to what you want, but I happen to know that this is the string that I already want for this. So now we have our blueprint set up. Now we need to say what that is going to be. This is the bit I remember the least well, so give me a second while I remember everything. So we've got our meals, and now we're going to crafting food. So we've got our blueprints meals, that's what we've done here. We've made a blueprint for it. We've given it kind of all these details here. We've got crafting food. If we have a look at crafting food, whoops, we'll see, because this blueprints meals doesn't actually contain what's needed for it. This is just creating the blueprints themselves and all the details surrounding the actual blueprint. But for the crafting recipes, we have this in here. And this is done with this more of this kind of like def block generated on like game start sort of thing. So this is a little bit confusing to look at initially, but it does sort of make sense. So you can see we've got this array of combinations down here. You can see that blueprint meal breakfast has an add item cost of an egg, a sausage, 2 sausages, potatoes. You can kind of see how everything starts to be put together down here. And the way this works is a good question. Options, blueprint. Yeah, it's been quite a long, I've been talking for quite a long time already, and this is the one I am least knowledgeable about. The way I have done this in my pre-existing file was to mostly copy the existing one. So let's have a look at what I did originally. This was crafting foods, so I had k crafting foods .inc, lovely, and in this one you can see I've got this def block crafting food recipe over this dict at the top. ID is ID, which comes from here. Title, menu crafting food title, craft sound is this, array name initial, not sure what that means. Slots, name is going to be the crafting slot meal name, meal description, consume must own. These are all options for the crafting window itself in terms of must you own the items, only show the own items, verify crafting, accept null option. Not sure what all of these things do, but you can see here in this options, so in the list of options for crafting, this is the ones in the base game. I have just added blueprint meal sandwich, which is what we made here. And I've said that the combination for blueprint meal sandwich is an item cost of an egg, 1 egg, 1 sausage, 1 bread, and that's my meal sandwich. Let's save this. And then these all get put together with another file. Whoops, I meant to save that. Crafting IDs.s file. Whoops. let's fix the name of that. Crafting IDs.sval. You can see this one here, crafting IDs.sval in the game files. This is telling it what to include. It's telling so it's saying include all of these files. It's saying load multiple things and the blocks of how to load those things. So crafting food recipe, cook. This is the way it gets loaded into the menu for those things. Explaining it would be a different thing when I felt more confident about explaining it. But in this one, to match this one that we just looked at, which was this one, you can see I've got include, tweak crafting, crafting food. Except this needs to be food. So we're going to say include that file, and we want to load multiple, and it's going to be crafting food recipe, cook. So we're going to load all of these things into our crafting IDs. So now we have that. Copying the kind of existing files, but just understanding that the way things load things in is a good way to learn these sorts of things. Now we need somewhere to cook it. So we're going to go back to our game, back to our level, and I'm going to hope that I can remember what these things are. So we have prefab cook site, which we're going to put here, and underneath we're going to put a is it oven? Stove? Hey, stove. So we're going to put a stove. Back to our prefabs, cook site. I'm going to put that over the top. And I can't remember whether I need to activate this. Let's find out. So we've saved that. Let's load into the game and see what happens. It might be that I need to do a little bit more scripting there, but we'll figure that out if that's the case. Load into our mod. YouTube, pick scenario, play, start. Load in. Let's get our quest. Let's get our things, and then let's see if we can. We can't use the food. We can't interact with that. Let's find out why. Let's go back to the main menu. Let's look at an example where that does work and try and figure out what's different. So we're going to look at Hammer Island region. I know there's one here. So this uses a cook site. This is a craft site. Is it just that I can't reach it? There's no other scripting around that, is there? Let's just try. Maybe I can't. Maybe I just need to reposition it. Let's try placing that there and see if that makes a difference. Oh, that's better. I have an X there now. So yeah, I think that's what it was. Get that. Get our things. Yeah, okay, it was the positioning. That's cool. So we can see that he's given us our frying pan and our things. If we come over here, there is not a tasty sandwich. Why is there not a tasty sandwich? I'm just dropping these on the floor. Why isn't that loaded? This is debugging. Okay. Let's look at why that's not done what it should have done. Let's look at our temp file. tweak crafting K crafting IDs. That exists. Consumable meals, consumables, prefabs, Miss cook site. It's not. It is that. Okay. So the cook site prefab defines which of these crafting IDs to pick from. So there's the two here. So there's the crafting IDs created by the game, and then we've got K crafting IDs. If we go and find the prefab, so this cook site prefab, unpacked assets, prefabs, MISC, cook site, you here? There you are, cook site. We can drag that over to our text editor. You can either open them in the editor or a text editor. I'm going to open it in a text editor because I know that in here somewhere, crafter, tweak craft, crafting IDs, sval cook. We want to change that to K so that it uses our specific ones. Now we're going to save this in the correct relative place. So let's go back to our Hammerwatch 2 scenarios, example scenario. We're going to make a prefabs folder. We're going to make a MISC folder within that. And then we're going to save this in there. And now, because this is saved relatively in the same place as the one in the game files, this will overwrite that version of it. So now if we come into the game, go into our custom scenario, start it. And now if we get our quest, get our goodies, go over here, meal recipe, hearty sandwich. There it is. It takes our things, it costs no money. We now have a hearty sandwich, we can hand it in. We've created our quest loop. We're done. That's that. We can keep going over here and getting more money from Matt because he's so friendly, he wants us to give us some money. And from that you can kind of build into anything, really. The version from the where is it? Did I subscribe to it? Unpacked, packed, fast travel, no. Example, no. Oh, this is awkward. I'm trying to find the scenario that I subscribed to. So let's open the packager again and just see if that's there. Downloaded? Where is it? Caroline was Tranquility Shore. Example scenario, there it is. We're going to unpack that because I just want to go into the levels here and open this one. So this is the one from the version on the workshop. It's similar, but there are a couple of differences that I just wanted to go over. So I have my Kelly NPC, I've got my Matt NPC, he lives over there. I also have this looks quite complicated, it's not. I have this Kosa NPC who you can interact with to raise and lower this bridge, and the way that one works is if I just bring up this quests file here, you can see I've created a dialog for NPC Kosa. I've added a conditional to this query prompt, so if the flag isn't drawbridge closed and we've got flag isn't Kosa drawbridge open, then we have the choice. We've got choice positive, and then we want to trigger a global event of Kosa drawbridge open, set decline text. So that says if the bridge is neither open or closed, this selecting to open the bridge will trigger a global event. This global event trigger is here, so this is Coastal Drawbridge close or Coastal Drawbridge open. Open is the one that gets triggered. This goes through and sets the unit scene for this bridge here, which we can click here, and so at the moment it's closed. I can open it, I can close it. This will change this unit scene, at which point it also sets these flags here, which this then get picked up by here. So this has all these conditionals which check against these flags and show the correct options, and then trigger global events from that. So this is an NPC where you can say yes or no and it'll open the bridge, close the bridge, and you can get over to Matt. So that's just how that works there. You've got these conditional, accept text, and then it triggers global events. These global events are in the editor and it's just all set there. I also had to set my own collision here so that you could actually get over there, otherwise it wasn't going to let you. So I removed all the collision and then made my own collision. But apart from that, I think that's everything. When you finish your scenario and you want to pack it up and put it on the workshop for everyone else to enjoy, it's as simple as opening the packager, coming to... where's our YouTube one? Here it is, example YouTube. You right click on it, make a package. I'll bring up a dialog here. You can say, I'm going to save it here, I'm going to call it my YouTube.hsc, and then if we want to upload that to the workshop, it's as simple as clicking this Steam thing here, and you can come to upload new, browse for a package, YouTube.hsc. It'll automatically pick it as a scenario because that's what it is. You can change the visibility, you can set some tags here, you can put whatever you want to put in here, you can add an image if you want, click upload, and that will send it up to the workshop, and you are done. That is it. Hopefully this is useful. I know it's really long. I just thought this was better as it's actually got the information and people can see it. I don't know if this stuff will get written down anytime soon. Hopefully it will, but if not, there's this here. If you've watched the entire thing, thanks. This was fun. I hope you enjoyed it as well. There are people who are a lot better at building levels than I am, and there are a lot of different things you can do. Best place to ask for that is on the Discord, in the modding channel. There are people there like Toshi, who's made the Tranquility Shores campaign, which is great, doing some really cool innovative stuff there. I recommend people check that out. But yeah, definitely a wealth of information for people who want to investigate this sort of stuff further and just generally have a play around doing things. Cool, thanks for watching this like 1 hour 20-minute one take video. Have a good time. Bye.